This is a video response to Varmint Coyote. It's a video he made on the topic of sexuality, and it's very interesting. I suggest you check it out first. It's very important for the context, and I'm not going to reiterate everything he said. It makes more sense to watch that. I'd also subscribe to his channel because he makes very good videos, similar to mine, except I'd say several times better in terms of the quality. You know, what are you going to do? You find people who are different from you, and you see if you can grow from them. The thing I like about him, though, is he's much better at starting conversations as a springboard for ideas, and I feel like that's exactly what he did in this video. The way he's talking about sexuality and people try and tie themselves down with labels. Now, in society, labels can be convenient, like they can say you are this or that in order to make less problems for yourself in life, but I often find that people essentially aren't qualified in giving themselves labels, because the problem with labels is they often mean one particular thing. Like if you are heterosexual or homosexual, they describe a specific thing, and if you don't really qualify for that, or there's another definition that's more accurate for you, that may not be the best thing to go around describing yourself as. And as Varmint Coyote said, there are several different types of sexualities out there that people choose to describe themselves as, such as omnisexual, pansexual, asexual, demisexual, which is a new one he said he learned. He didn't even know about that, and he felt like it was more accurate than what he'd heard before. And maybe someday he'll learn a new label that's even more accurate of him. The fact is, I just don't see a point in throwing a label on this, because it often it confuses people, because they might make assumptions about you that aren't necessarily true. It's like if somebody who doesn't know a lot about politics tried to describe themselves as liberal or conservative, even though their personal values might not necessarily align with what our general understanding of those ideas are. So when they go around talking about saying they're conservative, you might assume that they're anti-gay or anti-abortion or something, even though they aren't necessarily that. So in terms of giving yourself a label, you really have to know a lot about the subject. But just in terms of getting by in life, I don't find knowing a lot about the subject to necessarily be important. Having a general idea about it so you can discuss ideas behind the subject is important, but having a mastery comprehension of it really isn't. Like, just a basic example, I believe in the theory of evolution, but I don't know everything behind it. I don't know everything about biology. I don't have a degree in biology. I don't know much of anything about evolutionary psychology. So I'm not an expert by any means, but I still understand the basic ideas behind it. I understand what it means for speciation to occur. So I can understand the concepts, and I can give a general idea of what it means to have this or this happen. And in a way, I feel like that's all that's necessary in order to describe what you are. You don't necessarily have to give a label, because that often ties you down. When you give a label, you're often letting the label inform your values or your desires, when it should be the other way around. People really shouldn't let their lives be controlled by labels, but people feel like they need a label. In my life, it's just not necessary. If you're talking about your sexuality or your political beliefs or your perspectives on life or ethics or anything, what really matters to me more is the ideas behind those labels, because people can come to me and say I'm this or that, but the problem is people often say that they are the same thing when they're describing different values or ideas behind them. So what really matters is expressing the ideas, and when it comes to sexuality, that's what matters. The fact that you can express the ideas behind them, or at the very least, you know what you're talking about, you know what you want, you know what you desire, you know what can make you happy, you know what you're looking for in a relationship. And I often find that people who struggle with finding a label for themselves do have that. They do have the ability to understand what they want, at least to a limited degree, and they know how to pursue that. And in my book, that's all that matters. Like, if you're interested in someone, you can say that I'm interested in you. If you're not, you can say that you're not. And that's all that's really necessary in my book. It's like the example that Varmint Coyote gave, where there can be a gay guy, but he's interested in one girl, and he says, oh, well, am I not gay anymore? Am I a traitor to my sexual orientation? It's not like that. It's about the idea behind it. It's about who you generally are attracted to and what you feel inside. That's what matters. So that was a very good video. I wanted to thank you for that. And that's why I do like watching your videos, because I often feel like you're a good springboard for ideas and further conversation. It really gets my mind rolling, at least, and I think a lot of other people think that way. And once again, if you aren't from his channel and you're just watching for me, I do recommend checking him out, because he's very good at sharing ideas and getting you thinking about things.